Hi, good evening, everyone. If all of you can hear me, just type hi in the public chat. Hi, good evening, everyone. How are you doing? Just type hi in the public chat if all of you can hear me. All right. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Rahil Zafar, and I have been training students on IELTS for almost 6 years now. So, in today's session, we're going to be talking about an interesting type of question in the listening module. Before we begin, let's quickly understand what is the listening module and what kind of questions would you be introduced to. So, in the IELTS listening test, you are going to be given exactly 30 minutes to find out answers to 30 questions, 40 questions. Now, what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to, first of all, understand what kind of audios are going to be played. Okay. And we also should know what are the different types of questions you're going to be introduced to. So in the listening module, there are 10 types of questions. Okay. And out of these 10 types of questions, some types of questions are really challenging, which is why we have come up with this interesting video for all of you, wherein I'm going to share the important tips and strategies with all of you. So out of those 10 types of questions, one of these questions is map labeling questions. Now, in this map labeling question, you're supposed to figure out a way to find out the correct answers. And in a couple of minutes, I'll be sharing those important tips and strategies with all of you. So the listening module is where you're going to listen to some recordings, and you have to find out answers to how many questions? 40 questions. Okay. Now there are different parts in the listening module. To be precise, there are four parts: part one, part two, part three, and part four. Part one is where you're going to be listening to two different people, and it's going to be a conversation between two people. And based on that, you are supposed to find out answers to 10 questions because each and every part has 10 questions. Okay. Then, when you move to part two, you'd be listening to only one person's voice, okay? Because it's a monologue. And in this type of audio, you will be given 10 questions to answer, and you'd be listening to only one person's voice. For example, they could give you an audio of a tour guide. He'd be explaining a lot of things about a historical monument or historical place, right? And then you're supposed to find out answers to those 10 questions. When you move to part three, you'll find out that the level of difficulty would increase, right? Because the test is, progressive in nature. As you move to the next part, in each and every module, not just listening module, in each and every module, your level of difficulty keeps increasing. Okay, so part three is going to be a little challenging for all of you. Now, here it is going to be a group discussion where some students would be discussing a couple of things, and you're supposed to listen to the recording and find out who said what. Sometimes they give you a lot of multiple choice questions in this part, and sometimes they also come up with some completion questions in part three. When you move to part four, which is one of the most challenging parts because of the rate of speech, right? So here again, you'd be listening to only one person because it's also a monologue, but this one is based entirely on academic content, something to do with education. All right. So yeah, these are the different parts, and you're going to be introduced to different types of questions. We have multiple choice questions. We have got some completion types of questions. For example, sentence completion. We have notes completion, form completion. These are some of the most prominent types of questions. They definitely come in your IELTS listening test. Then we also have matching types of questions, right? And the most challenging one, which a lot of students find, it to be tough, I would say. So yeah, these kind of questions are known as map labeling questions. All right. So we'll be discussing in detail what are these map labeling questions and how are you supposed to go about it. All right. Let me know if you have any questions before we move to the next part of this webinar. You can type your questions in the public chat. All right. I believe there are no questions. So let's start with this strategy for map labeling questions now. Now, let's first understand what are these map labeling questions. So, in these types of questions, you'll be presented with a map on the screen. If you're taking the computer delivered test, everything would be given to you on the screen, right? All the questions and the answers where you're going to type your answers, everything is going to be on the screen. Okay. So, and in the paper based test, of course, you'll be given a question booklet and an answer sheet separately. So let's say you're taking the paper-based test, right? Now, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to understand what is that map all about. So you'll be given a map, and certain directions will be given to you, and certain points will be given to you. Some hints will also be given to you. So your job as a test taker would be to first of all have a look at the map, okay? Then understand what is it actually about. So in your IELTS listening test, they usually give you a heading for each and every type of question. Let's say they've presented you a map of, let's say, town library. Okay. So they'll write down town library, and then the map would be shown to you. So you're supposed to study the diagram, study the map properly. When I say you need to study the map properly, I mean to say that you need to go through each and every feature and each and every hint given to you. Okay. They'll mark some letters on the map like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. These kinds of letters will be marked on the map, and different places you will have to find out what are these letters denoting. Okay. And then you'll be given a box on the like separately with all the names would be given to you. For example, they may ask you in the town library, where is the water cooler kept? Okay. Or they may ask you, where are the computers kept? So let's say there is a different section for the computers, so you will have to find out where are these computers kept in the map itself. Okay. So you need to particularly find out what are the hints given to you. All right. So this map labeling question becomes a little challenging because students cannot keep up with the pace of the audio. Like whatever the instructor is saying in the audio, they're not able to keep up pace with that. That's why it becomes a little challenging. Okay. But do not worry. What we're going to do is we're going to give you a way where you can keep up pace with the recording as well. Like whatever the person is going to say in the recording, you'll be able to follow the instructions quickly and easily. All right. So what I want all of you to do is I want you to write down all these steps for these map labeling questions, right? So step number one is to understand the map. Look at the hints given to you. Whatever the hints are given to you, just go through all the hints. Understand the map is the first step. When you move to the next step, because you'll be given some amount to, only let's say 20 to 25 seconds to read the questions. So within these 20 to 25 seconds, you will have to understand the map. You also have to identify the features given to you. Okay. Not just looking at the letters would help you out finding out the answers. You will also have to look at all the features given to you. Now, what are these features? Features are basically important things given to you in the map. Let's say they'll make a circle, and some trees would be made in that circle. So these trees are going to act as hints for you, because in the audio the instructor would be using these hints. When you go around these trees, you take the first left, you take the then you keep walking straight. On your left hand side, you will find out a small room, which is basically used for something. Okay. So these kind of direction words are also going to be used. Now these hints, all these features have to be, you can, if you want, you can underline or put a small dot or something near those key features, but you wouldn't have enough time. So it's better you just understand the map and identify the features. All right. Once you're done with these two steps, the third step is to make a small compass, either on the question paper, or maybe like if you're taking the computer delivered test, you'll get a notepad, or a paper would be given to you where you can make notes. So you can make a small compass over there, right? Sometimes they also give you a compass on the question paper. On the screen, you'll find out that small compass written, given to you over there. This is just to help the students understand the directions, right? So we know this is north direction, this is south. On your right, we have east, and on the left, we have west. Okay, so northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest, these directional words are also going to be used, right? So you have to be very careful about these directional words as well. All right, because in the audio, when they use these directional words, you wouldn't have enough time to process the information. You can quickly look at the map, or if you have it on the screen, if you have it on your question paper, quickly look at that and find out what is in your northeast direction. Okay. So yeah, this is the third step. If the compass is not given over there, make a small compass, write down all the directions quickly. Shouldn't take more than 5 seconds. North, south, east, west. You can make all these directions quickly. All right. So this was the third and the most important step. And the final step for finding out the answers to these questions correctly is to use this finger, to use your index finger. Now, when they start playing the audio, and the instructor starts with all the directions and everything, you keep following the directions by using your index finger. And in case you're taking the computer delivered test, I want you to use your cursor. Keep your cursor, and keep following the path, whatever the instructor says in the audio. All right. So let's take an example. Let's say you have this map in front of you, and it's a map of, let's say, a cinema hall. Okay. So a map of a cinema hall is given to you. There's this entrance. Okay. And as soon as you enter the cinema hall, you find out two big rooms. Right. One is the on the left hand side you have, let's say, auditorium one, and on the right hand side you have auditorium two. Okay. So as soon as you enter, you will find out two big rooms. So in the audio, the person is going to use different directional words. For example, as soon as you enter, you take the first left to go towards auditorium one, right? So keep following the instructions. Whatever the person is saying, you keep following those instructions using your index finger. This will help you keep a track of the audio. Okay. This is something that is going to be really helpful in the map labeling questions. All right. You wouldn't have enough time, you wouldn't have a lot of time to process the information. That's why we suggest our students to keep following the path by using their index finger or the cursor. All right. So this is something really important. Now, these are the strategies only for the map labeling questions, right? You may want to use these, the other three steps in other types of questions as well. But the key to finding out the correct answers to all the map labeling questions is to basically keep a track of the audio, understand what is being said, learn all these directional words, prepare well in advance, right? And when you start listening to the audio, don't lose your concentration. Okay, it may take a couple of practice sessions for you to get better at these questions, but trust me, when you understand all these, when you incorporate all these steps that I've given you right now, you'd definitely be able to find out all the answers correctly. Okay. Right. So before moving on to some basic tips that I'm going to be sharing with you, let me know if you have any questions, anything that you would like to ask before we move on to the next part. Hi, Ursh. I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you, Ursh? Let me know if you have any questions, anything to do with the steps that I shared with you right now, anything that you would like to ask. No questions? All right, then let's move on to the basic tips that you need to keep in mind. So, okay, we have a question over here. Sir, how can I get 7 band in reading? Because nowadays I usually get 6.5 in the reading section. Okay, so that's not a lot of difference in 6.5 and 7. So if you're getting 6.5, that means your score is less than 30. So you need to make sure that you're practicing all the passages separately. Okay, we need to understand that these reading passages have different level of difficulties, right? So passage one is going to be easy as compared to the third passage. So try doing them separately, Arsh. Instead of taking the whole test in one go, break it into small parts and do this activity. I think this is going to help you out. Keep a track of what kind of band score you're getting, what kind of score are you getting in different passages. Okay. Then after maybe let's say 5 days of doing this activity, you can take the whole test. Okay, all the three passages together. Follow this, Arsh. I'm pretty sure this is going to help you out. Yes, Shri, we were doing the map labeling questions. So I'll quickly summarize what we have done till now. So we went through all the strategies. We went through the strategy for map labeling questions. Okay. The first step that I told all the students was to understand the map. That's the first step. Once you are done understanding the map, the next step is to identify the features or identify the hints given to you in the map. Once you're done with it, you have to make a compass. If the compass is given to you in the questions, like in the question itself, well and good. If not, make a small compass: north, south, east, west, right? Or write down all these directions on your question paper or on the notepad if you're taking the computer delivered test. Okay. Once, like after making that compass, what you're going to do, you're going to listen to the recording and you need to use your index finger, which is one of the most important steps. This will help you stay attentive and you will be able to concentrate properly. Because when you keep listening to the instructions and you keep using your index finger, this will help you find out the answers easily. Okay. All right. So let me quickly, give you some tips also, the things that you that will help you in going on with these map labeling questions. So the first tip is to understand and start learning these directional words, these prepositions. For example, on the when we say upwards or downwards, or when they use directions like on your left hand side, on your right hand side, on top of it, perpendicular, or on let's say where they might use words like diagonally opposite to, or it's in the opposite direction. So these kind of words are very commonly used in map labeling questions. So you need to know what are these words and you need to understand the meanings as well. Okay. So yeah, not just these, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to use directional words like northeast, southwest, northeast, southeast, southwest. Let's say you're standing over here. This is one point. We have marked this point. Just assume this is one point, okay? And this is another point. So what's in the north west direction? I mean, it's going to be different for you because you're looking at a different from a different perspective. So I'm just explaining it to you. If this is the point and this is point B, point A and point B, what's in what direction is it given to you? So to be able to process this information, you should have that compass in front of you. All right. And you should know all these directional words, and you should know their meanings as well. Okay. And the last tip, to be very honest, the last tip is going to be a little, overwhelming, because I always ask my students to practice at least 15 to 20 map labeling questions separately, right? Not in the test, like when students take all the take all the mock tests, they do it from question number 1 till question number 40. But what I want you to do is, if you actually want to get a hang of it and want to get better at these map labeling questions, do at least 15 to 20 map labeling questions separately. There are multiple resources available. We also provide a lot of map labeling questions in our live sessions and in the study material. So, in case you're planning to take the IELTS exam sooner or maybe later, you can come and join our live sessions as well. All right. There's a link given to you, and there are certain numbers that I'll be sharing towards the end of the session. You can contact us on those numbers as well and book your slots with us. All right. So yeah, practice is the key. This is one of the most important things. Be it for map labeling questions or other types of questions, you are supposed to practice well in advance. This is something that is going to help you out in the long run. Okay. Arsh says, any tips for speaking? Sure. So Arsh, speaking is something which will only come through practice. If you want to become fluent, what I want you to do is put yourself in such an environment where everyone, Like everyone, literally everyone talks to you in English. You put yourself in that environment, or you create that environment around yourself. You find out people who are willing to do this. Take up this challenge with your friends, that from today till maybe 5 days, or maybe let's say for the next 7 days, you're only going to talk in English. You create this environment for yourself. This is what I used to do when I was in 12th standard. One of my teachers suggested this to me, and yes, we were a group of 5 people, and we were like best friends. We were still best friends, so we used to do this activity every month for 5 6 days, right? So this is what I would suggest you to do. Try talking to people in English. Until unless you start talking, it's actually not going to help you out, Ash. Okay. Watching English vlogs can be the good idea. Yeah, it can definitely help you out because you're listening, right? So when you listen to something and you try to when you grasp some information from it, you try to use it in your daily language. Only listening wouldn't help. Only watching those videos and just going through those videos wouldn't help. You make notes while watching those videos, right? I used to watch this show called The Big Bang Theory. So for the first few seasons, I watched it just for entertainment purpose. But then after that, I started making notes. Whatever new idioms and phrases they came up with, I used to note down those idioms and everything. So that really helped me out, and I use those idioms maybe when I speak to my colleagues and my friends. I try to use those idioms in my daily language. So that is a wonderful idea, Arsh. You can watch those videos. You can watch some web series and make notes. That's definitely going to help you out. All right. Any questions for the map labeling questions? Do let me know. I'd be happy to help you. Were you able to understand the strategy for the map labeling questions? Do let me know in the comment section, please. I'm also sharing this number with all of you. So, in case you have any doubts later, you can contact us on this number. Let me quickly type it for you. Here you go, guys. That's our calling number. You can get in touch with us later. So sometimes I find junction difficult. Can you please explain this thing to me, Arsh? What do we mean by junction difficult? Are you talking about? Um, yeah, could you please elaborate your question, Arsh? Like two roads connecting, speaker says in listening, turn right and up, something like this. Oh, so you're talking about where actually the junction is. Okay, all right. So yeah, this is again a common thing in the listening map labeling questions. So what I would say is when you find out certain questions in this thing, for example, let's say they're talking about um, a particular place where there's a railroad going, there's railway lines, and then there are roads, and then there are different institutes and other educational things as well. So when they use these words, you need to find out it from your perspective. Okay, so only practice can help you out. And when you start practicing, it's okay to listen to the recording more than once, because you're still in that practicing phase, right? So make sure wherever you make a mistake, you only listen to that part of the audio. You don't listen to the whole audio, only but that part of the audio. Or sometimes you can also go through the transcripts, right? Then once you are able to find out what mistake you made, you try to learn from your mistakes. Okay, then write down those words. Okay, this was the word they used in the question and I was not able to understand it, so maybe next time if they use it, I'll be more careful. Okay, so this is something that you can do. All right. Mohammed Elhaz, I am getting problem in matching questions and listening. Please help. Okay. So in matching questions, we'll be coming up with another this thing webinar. So I'll be picking up these types of questions then. Right now, we're done with this session, Alhaz. But I would recommend you to get in touch with us separately in case you're facing other problems. So we'll definitely try to help you out. There are some more videos that we have already uploaded. You can go and check our videos section. You may find something related to that in the listening module. Definitely. All right, guys, it was nice interacting with all of you. Thank you for being a part of this webinar. I hope these strategies, the strategy that I shared with you for map labeling questions helps you out. Do let us know about this session and feel free to contact us. We've already shared the number with you. Thank you. Have a nice weekend. Take care, everyone, and all the best for your IELTS test. Bye bye.